Friends, something very strange is happening in the Western world. It's starting to look like a family dinner where everyone finally realizes the loud guy at the head of the table might actually be the problem. Because America's closest ally, the country with the longest open border with the US, just walked straight into China's house and signed business papers. A commitment. And in geopolitics, commitment is flirting with consequences. Let's meet today's characters. On one side, Canada, the polite one, the quiet one, the emotional support ally, the country America treats like a basement roommate. On the other side, China, patient, long-term, strategic. The guy who never argues in public, he just waits. And standing awkwardly outside the door, the United States, checking the window, refreshing Twitter, and asking, wait, what are you guys talking about in there? For almost a decade, Canada and China were cold. No high-level visits, no smiles, no real momentum. Relations collapsed after the Huawei CFO arrest in 2018. Diplomacy froze. Trust broke. But it's the international version of we'll keep it professional. And then suddenly, after years of silence, Canada's prime minister goes to China. Red carpet, ceremony, warm language, trade talk, strategic partnership. And then comes the headline that made Washington spill coffee. Canada slashes tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles from 100% to around 6%. That's not a tariff cut. That's a welcome home hug. This deal isn't just about cars. It includes electric vehicles, agriculture and canola, energy cooperation, clean technology, finance, food safety, industrial standards. This is supply chain stuff. Long-term stuff, foundation stuff, stuff you don't build with someone you think you'll stop talking to. This isn't, let's trade. This is, let's design our future shopping together. The kind of stuff you don't build with someone you think you'll stop talking to. Canada's PM openly called this a pragmatic adaptation to new global realities, which in normal human language means we are no longer betting everything on America. So the big question, why is Canada doing this now? Why poke Washington's ego? Why risk American anger? Because America has changed, not slowly, loudly. Tariffs on allies, threats on partners, annexation jokes, 51st state comments, governor insults. Imagine your best friend constantly joking about owning you. At some point, it stops being funny. Canada has been hit with tariffs on steel, aluminum, cars. Trade threats are routine. Defense pressure is constant. Respect has become optional. USA wants Canada to spend more on defense, buy American weapons, integrate deeper into U.S. military systems, give strategic access to the Arctic, support missile and radar projects, fully align politically, and in return, uncertainty, tariffs, public humiliation, and jokes about annexation. That's not an alliance. That's a subscription service. Canada exports about 70% of its goods to the U.S., which means its economy breathes American air. And America has started squeezing that air. So Canada is doing what nervous countries always do, looking for backup lungs. Now this story stops being about trade and starts being about the world order. Canada didn't just hug China. Canada aligned with China and Russia on Greenland. They said, Greenland is Danish territory. International law matters. No one gets to seize it, which is a very polite way of saying, America, sit down. European countries then sent soldiers to Greenland, not an army, a signal. The 30 soldiers worth of symbolism. The point wasn't defense. The point was defiance. For 80 years, the Western world was built on one emotional foundation. Trust in American leadership. Not love, not perfection. Trust that allies mattered. Trust that rules applied. Trust that treaties meant something. Trust that protection wasn't conditional on obedience. That trust is now buffering. America threatens tariffs on allies. Questions NATO. Hints it won't show up. Talks about taking territory. Frames everything as transactions. So allies are starting to act like people whose landlord keeps threatening eviction. They start saving. They start networking. They start planning exits. Canada is not alone. Europe is accelerating trade talks elsewhere. Defense partnerships are expanding outside. The U.S. middle powers are forming new groupings. Countries are quietly diversifying influence. Not because America is weak, but because America is unpredictable. Unpredictability is worse than hostility, because you can plan for enemies, you can't plan for moods. Right. This is the real story, not tariffs, not EVs, not even China. It's psychology. Canada going to China is not a betrayal. It's an insurance policy. It's a country saying we don't know what America will be next year, So we're preparing for all versions. That sentence alone would have been unthinkable 15 years ago. No flags, no speeches, no dramatic exits. But there is something far more important. Because countries don't build alternatives unless they think the main option might fail. And nothing scares allies more than a leader who treats loyalty like rent. So tell me what you think. Is Canada just being smart? Or are we watching the first visible fracture in the Western world order? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like if this helped you see the bigger picture. Subscribe if you enjoy geopolitics explained like intelligent chaos, because history isn't ending. It's quietly changing managers. See you next time.